Hello! I'm Rice Crispy. I make VocalMorph covers in English and Welsh, and I also make初音Miku covers, mostly in English. I've gotten a lot of comments over the past couple months asking how I get Miku to sound the way that she does in a lot of my covers. She has a enhanced clarity to her English that is not native to her V4X, and she has a lot more of a brighter, like almost a V2 tone to her. Some people have asked if I've used RVC to get this effect, and I have used RVC one time. I used it for the speaking bit at the end of my cover of Ghost Elizabeth. But that is the only time that I have used a Miku RVC, and it was very difficult, and I didn't like the sound that it made, which is why the speaking part at the end of that cover is so muffled and low, but I really wanted to include it because I thought the concept was cool. Anyway, the way that I normally make Miku sound the way that she does in my covers is, it's very time consuming, it's very lengthy. I use a morphing program called VocalMorph, so I'm just gonna show. Okay. I did not do any voiceover while I was actually working in any of these programs, so I'm going to do a voiceover as I'm watching the playback. I make all of my basses in Synthesizer V because I like the UI better, but then I use Uta Formatics to change it to a VSQX so I can work on it with Miku. So the first thing that I always do when I'm working with Miku is I raise her clarity, just in program in Vocaloid 4. The next thing that I start doing is phoneme editing, which is the biggest part of making Miku English sound nice, because her default phonemes are not good. They're not good. So right here for I, I've changed it to I, so she kind of like swoops into well, you can hear it. For doubled consonants like this, if you're familiar with VCCV, it would be like a CC. I quite literally double them up, sometimes even triple. So like what I'm doing here for Dream is I'm adding in an additional DR. Dream. Which sounds fine on its own, but I'm also eventually, I know from while I was editing, I'm going to go back and add in another D to the end of I, because it's just kind of reinforcing the sound. You can always edit out the clipping later. Here's where I start editing the brightness and clarity of specific notes, because you can actually get a different vowel sound out of Miku depending on how high her brightness and clarity is. Dream. In phosphorescence. Breathe. Sometimes, especially with those kind of E sounds like dream, bleed, adjusting the brightness can give you more of a nasally bleed, or a lower like I've gone for here, and I'm editing it quite a bit, but you get more of a bleed. Next is velocity. This part is pretty straightforward. I use this very similarly to how I use it in Utao. When I have consonants that I want to shine through more than others, especially when you have doubled up consonants in Miku English, I just raise the velocity bar all the way to the top. In phosphorescence. Tuning time. Okay, I tune in Vocaloid very straightforwardly, very similarly to a lot of people. I still use the tricks that I learned in a tutorial from like 10 years ago. Basically what you do is you split your notes up into lots of smaller little notes, give it the dash, and move those around.
A dream in phosphorescence, breathe through spaces, see you drifting past the fog. Down the world you were too long.
Next up is the synth V part, aka the bass that I made, and my tuned to it very similarly to the way that Miku is tuned to it. You want the two reference files for VocalMorph to match pretty consistently, but here she is.
I dream in phosphorescence, bleed through spaces.
You get the gist.
See?
Okay, Audacity part. The most important thing about VocalMorph is that your two reference files have to be exactly the same, meaning they have to be lined up exactly on time, they preferably need to be exactly the same length, and they also need to be the same hertz when you export them, like the HC. If they are not exactly the same in all of these aspects, VocalMorph will throw a fit. When I'm working in VocalMorph, I tend to work one line at a time, because if you try to throw these giant wave files that are 3 minutes long into VocalMorph, especially two of them, she's gonna give up and crash and die. And she likes to do that anyway, so you really need to try to reduce the chances of that as much as possible. So yes, it is tedious to work one line at a time, but that is just what I do. I'm just gonna let you guys know VocalMorph crashed about 4 times while I was trying to record this bit of it, so if you don't have the patience for that, I'm sorry. But VocalMorph is difficult. So you upload both of your wave files. There's only like 3 buttons on VocalMorph, so it's you know, the top right, bottom right buttons. Upload your files. As you can see, I put my on top and Miku on the bottom. I don't touch the D1A4. I've never touched it. I don't know what those do. I don't know how it affects it. All I know is every time I try to play a wave after I touch those, it crashes. So just leave those alone. They're invisible. As you can also see, it takes forever to load. Okay, now that she's finally loaded, this is what you're given. To change who it sounds like more, you draw a line closer to the top or bottom. So now here we are mostly at Miku, so what I do is trial and error how much of the other voice bank that I want to borrow from. Here's mostly Miku Sanmai.
I dream.
Little bit choppy. I don't really like how much of Mai's tone comes through, so I'm gonna make it a little bit more Miku.
I dream.
Still am getting too much Mai, so we're making it like 95% Miku, 5% Mai. I always struggle drawing straight lines.
I dream in phosphorescence.
So I'm mostly happy with how much of Mai is coming through on Miku here, so the next thing that I do is start stealing Synthesizer V English consonants. I learned how to do this off of a video on Twitter. Basically, you leave it at like that 95-5 ratio for the majority of the sample, but then the consonants that are unique to English or that Miku just kind of struggles with, you steal a few, you steal a bit of them. Mai's not gonna care. She doesn't mind. I always start with these really exaggerated dips at first so that if it needs that much reinforcement, it's there. But you're going to see as it goes on, I shorten a lot of them by quite a bit. I'm going to take it back up to like a 90-10 ratio on these consonants because VocalMorph is really powerful for how buggy and just weird of a program it is. It is really good at what it does if you know how to tell it to do so. So here's with the strong consonants. It's going to sound really weird.
I dream in phosphor.
So I'm going to go back and scale back the majority of these consonants now that I know that I don't need that much reinforcement. I am better at doing this quickly with Solaria. I usually use Solaria for Miku's English consonants, but I really like Mai's softer tone for this song specifically. So it is starting to take shape. So now that I know that she really doesn't need that much reinforcement, I'm going to go in and swoop all of these consonants, which gives it a smoother fade in, kind of like the envelope feature on Uto. That way we're not getting such a sharp drop into Mai's vocals. This is about this is the final part of editing in VocalMorph, is making those like U-shape valleys.
I dream in phosphorescence, bleed through spaces, see you drifting past the fog.
Okay, we're moving into FL Studio for the mixing. I'm going to do a quick overview of all the effects that I used to get her to sound like the final result. Here we have Fruity Compressor. I don't know how to explain mixing to you guys either. I'm not a very good mixer. I use a lot of presets. Sound Goodizer.
I dream in
Every vocal synth user's best friend in mixing, Sound Goodizer. Always use Sound Goodizer. That's a lie. Sometimes it's really overbearing. Oh, here's me cutting out one of Mai's breaths that I didn't want. I'm going to add in Miku's actual recorded breaths later from her voice bank. Here is Spitfish. I learned how to use this from Kiami. It just cuts down on that super high pitched hissing sound from S's. Spitfish. Get it? Another Sound Goodizer, but on the C channel instead of the A channel.
Bleed through spaces, see you drifting.
W1 limiter, this is another thing that I took from Kiami and Celia. It's just a really nice limiter plugin.
See you.
EQ is super important. If you want to borrow this curve, go right ahead. I'm adjusting it as I go. That's just how I mix. Reverb, it's self-explanatory.
Through spaces, see you drifting past the fog.
So then all together with the instrumental behind her, this is what it sounds like.
I dream in phosphorescence, bleed through spaces, see you drifting past the fog.
this was a mess. This was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but like I said at the beginning, this is a very lengthy, time-consuming process that you need patience for. So I really hope that this helped. VocalMorph will be for download in the description because it is a very difficult program to find. I had to go through multiple Twitter threads to find it. It's very unstable, so keep that in mind. Best of luck. Any problems? You didn't learn any of this from me. Okay, bye.